A few things to go over. As we can see, the prices are stabilizing a little bit. We've talked about the CPI data that was going to be released today. It was at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It was basically exactly like they were, exactly what the expectations were. So there's more of a chance for the market to get a little volatile to the upside here because the CPI was not bad as far as being beaten to the downside. So generally, when we have the CPI come out that meets expectations or does a little bit better than expectations, it allows the market to gain some volatility to the upside. And right now, it's the 4-hour candle. So for the next 2.5 hours, it's going to be a little tricky to decipher exactly if we're going to go in a bullish continuation here after this little pullback, or if this is just a fake out candle. So our job this morning is to see if this is a fake out or a breakout attempt. In regards for XRP, as we've been talking about, are we going to get up to a wave E up towards that $1.70? As long as this descending wedge doesn't break, I think there's more than a not chance. So we have a shoulder here, head to a shoulder. So I still think this is playing out in a sense where you can go shoulder, head, up to a shoulder. So if this plays out and we can break this 200-day here, I still think we have a chance. The next layer would be up to $1.56 at the descending triangle. And then if you get on top of that, I think you would just go right out to wave E. However, we still need to see and do our due diligence here if that's in fact what the market makers are designing. I still, until that descending wedge breaks down, that is my expectation. I know it's been extremely volatile, but as of right now, we've even pushed out of that short-term liquidity box. That is my expectation unless this breaks down. And the XRP futures, it held perfectly. We've got what looks like a shoulder, head, shoulder. And since the right side did pull down, if this does break through, that's the bull showing some control here. Because when you see on an inverted head and shoulders, the right side pull down a little bit more, that means the bears attempted to knock it out. But the bulls took control, which means the technical move up here would be about $1.52.5 just off of the futures descending wedge. So we're going to continue to highlight this, continue to watch it, obviously be precautionary. But right now, that is the expectation unless this were to break down these descending wedges. Bitcoin, again, if it can invalidate this right shoulder, then we come up to 73 and we'll be above the 200-day and the 4-hourly, which we're right up against right now. And this would allow us some nice volatility. There's a huge gap around 81,000 to 82,000. Well, it starts at 80,665, the liquidity gap. But there's also a lot of liquidity to be gained from short traders being liquidated up towards that level. 82K is a huge area as well. So as of right now, I'm not seeing anything that changes the direction of the narrative. Yes, it's going to take a little bit of foresight. It's going to take a little bit of fortitude. But again, there seems to be an opportunity starting to present itself here for that upward tug. Bitcoin's up to 75 or 70,500. Is this going to come with a lot of volatility? Every time it comes up, it should come down a little bit and then back up and then back down if it wants to fill it out properly. Right now, though, I'm not seeing anything that is swaying me from what we've been seeing. So we'll go over this. I would love to hear everybody's opinion this morning. I would love to hear what you're thinking objectively, as I think when we're on one mind, we do this a lot better, especially when we're all on the same page. It definitely makes it a lot easier to go through this when we're all on the same set motivation as well. So as of right now, it looks like we're continuing in the proper trend here. We're still on the top side of these consolidations. We did the back test of the necklines. We did a few inverted patterns. With algo, it's seemingly in the same kind of a tug. We back tested this movement from yesterday. We have this inverse head and shoulders built on the back test of the descending wedge. Looks like an inverted right shoulder, which means now as long as it stays above about 843, that's expected to break out here to at least 943 here. XRP, as long as it maintains the integrity of where it's at, this looks like as long as it maintains that $1.37, this integrity, we should come up out first area here, but ultimately out to that $1.53 to see what's going on right near the descending triangle unless this gets invalidated. But right now, we've had a nice validation candle on the back test. We're holding. Next layer would be to push up near that $1.45. I don't know. Everything seems to be standard operating procedure this morning. Anyhow, let's timestamp this. Good morning. 9:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Wednesday, March 11th, 2026. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So good morning, everybody. I appreciate the ones of you who have found your way in here. I always am very appreciative to see the audience, the core members, and the other members that decide to show up in the morning. My YouTube algorithm is fucked. Excuse my French, but it doesn't push out. Only 1.8% of the audience is from recommendations, which is that's probably the bottom 99% of recommendations that people get on YouTube. So I'm extremely blessed for the ones who continue to find their way in. For some of you who have been asking questions about the find, he stepped away for a little while. He's having personal issues within the home front. So please keep him on your heart and your mind. He sent me a very nice message. He's still watching from afar, but he's got to deal with the home front. And like I told him, the family comes first. So he's been dealing with stuff for a few years. He hasn't talked about it to anybody. He's talked about it to me quite often. But I don't want to get into his personal business. But we all just keep him in our hearts and prayers because he's such a special person. He's very giving, very kind, very dedicated, and he really had this community in his heart. So he did all he could do, but right now it's time to take care of the home front. And, I completely understand that, and I'm actually proud of him for making that decision and stepping away from, the noise of all of this to try to take care of the family. So I won't get into it, but we've been thinking about you to find if you're watching out there in the abyss. And we're really thankful for everything you've given this community. I am personally very, very thankful for everything he's given me. A lot of wisdom. Very kind soul that I would love to meet up with one day, to be honest. So what are we looking at here? Right now, XDC. Let's go into this this chart. We've got this inverse head and shoulders set up. So what you're looking for is as long as 318 holds, we're looking pretty good here this morning. Everything's looking pretty good this morning. I'm not even going to lie. The CPI, what the hell? The CPI came out in the way we wanted as well. So if you're looking for volatility, you're getting a little volatility. Yes. Did we jump into overbought here for XDC? That's going to happen with everything across the board. Some of them cleared out perfectly, like VeChain cleared out. So it should be trying to set up a move up to that 776. This is if the market plays out as anticipated. And we're trying to build a narrative here because if you're trying to make a run, you haven't missed anything yet because the back test has happened and now you have to buy and have a little bit of faith that this back test is going to move through. So right now it's moving exactly like we would want to see this morning. Is there going to be little hiccups here as we go along? Yeah, because the 4 hourly still has 2 hours. So it's had a nice push up. It's very possible it comes back down and back test part of this move. So we'll continue to watch this morning as a unit. And I would love to hear your guys' input as well. So it's definitely something that we're going to be watching very closely. I'm excited. We're going to have our 12th class today as well for anybody in the class. And I put in about 2 hours of work towards today's session. I was working on it before my workout. I worked on it last night. And I have everything set up. Oh, it's going to be spectacular. A lot of information is going to go out today. So if you're looking to learn the market a little bit deeper, phase 3 will get you involved with the players in the market, which I think is very, very super critical. I'm very excited about this part. As far as all of this, though, I mean, everything is 2 hourly. We've had a nice bullish reversal. And what you want to see is an increase in volume from the sell volume. And we've got this on H-bar at least. Now, would I be surprised at the 10 o'clock hour, 10:30 for this to maybe reconsolidate and test the move up? I don't know. Maybe it'll go unabated here. But it's definitely a possibility. We're not going to say it's not. But Bitcoin right now is railing really nicely, in my opinion. So, the gatekeeper right now, I think we're doing exactly what we need to do right now. I think we got some volatility to the upside. We were looking for the CPI to come in our favor, which it absolutely has right now if you want to have some volatility to the upside. Creamy says the poor high from oils Friday night, Monday early pre-market spike has not had its price action repair. A second spike to repair price action is needed. Crypto drop still in play. I agree with you. That's why I want to see how this first 4-hour candle goes. But right now, there's an imbalance that has also been created in crypto. So when you deal with imbalances, that's why you look at it and go, okay, well, we've got a chance. Right now, though, yes, I acknowledge XRP would need to get above $1.42-ish to not have a short-term shoulder form here. But right now, you know, you can only go with the evidence in front of us. And right now it's looking like we're having somewhat of a rally here this morning. And it could get hot and heavy, but it could also, we got to look at this 4-hour. That's why we can't really make a decision. We've still got, I mean, we can make a decision on what we think could happen. But for confirmation, we got to see this next 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's a really volatile swing up, though. 4-hourly's picking up volume. Now, could some say this will turn into a spinning top again, much like we had here where it broke down? Yes, that is definitely an optic that we have to pay attention to. But as of right now, and we should see the volatility this time of the morning, because once we get to 10:30 is when you usually get that diversionary tactic if it's going to happen. So right now, though, it's come up from $1.37 this morning. Yeah, $1.3726. We've had about a, what is this reversal been? 3% reversal so far. So it's moving in the right direction. But again, let's make sure that we get the proper confirmation here that it is an overall reversal. We want to make sure Bitcoin's not just yanking our chain. We want to make sure that they're not just giving us a little bit of hype in the morning like sometimes they like to do. We want to make sure that these candles, because the body's down here, that it doesn't come all the way back down in the next couple of hours. That's everything I'm looking at this morning to see, because I am not always convinced that the market's not trying to dick with us in a bear market. As long as the trend is down, the trend is not your friend. But it doesn't mean that we can't watch for signals that we can have short-term relief rallies, fix the imbalance, and come towards the gap areas. So let's just watch this in the next couple of hours, because we're going to get volatility to try to support the move or command the continuation down if this is, in fact, if it ends up being a fake out. So let's just watch this together. Let's come up with a observation, and then by the time we're done with this live, let's try to come up with some kind of conclusion, you know, around 10:30-ish or so, to see what we think. Joseph Euler, thanks so much for being in Town Zone for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Also, gifting a sub. How beautiful is that? The truth is sovereign. Congratulations on getting that first month emoji badge with me being abducted by aliens. And that is my face superimposed on that emoji badge. Love the kind giving spirit, Mr. Euler. Dan Marginal, Garbanzo, Josh Jolly, William Hayes, Mr. and Mrs. Stott, Bad Guy, Poppy Lou, thanks for being in town. 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Mark Caston, Oliver Marks, the Cannabis Podcast, also a very trusted mod in here. And Joseph Euler, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. CFD, Adam, thanks for your second month with the Dust Shadows Crypto News. Low, good morning. Let's see. Hope Botanicals, thanks for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Cannabis Podcast says, Justin, Justice Department announced that it is investigating Iran's use of Binance to evade sanctions per WSJ. Oh, boy. That is some big-ass news. Okay, so maybe it is going to be a fake out this morning. I don't know. I'm not convinced of everything just yet. Let's see how we act in the 1, 2, 3, and 4 hourly. We still got several hours here in the 4 hourly. Creamy goodness to I've already read through that. Good morning to you, John Allen. Good morning, Juan. Welcome in, and thanks for being in Town Zone for 2+ years with the XRP 589 Moon badge, along with CJ2 Pilot. CJ2 Pilot, good to see you peeking your head in here. I know you started a new job where it's been pretty successful, so I'm proud of you for getting the advancement in pay and things like that. And I'm glad to see you in here this morning. David Witten, good morning, and thanks for tuning in. Dan Marginal, thanks for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. And Dan Hedger, thanks for your second month with Dust House Crypto News. So now that we got the good mornings in order, let's see how we react here. Because if, let's just say XLM and some of the other ones do break out. I mean, XLM's looking at that 17.4 firm if this does push up to the next layer. Are some things, were they extended yesterday? Yeah, but we came back down to neutral. So now we need to see, especially in the hourly and the 2 hourly, which looks good right now. But we need to see how this hourly candle finishes. We have a golden cross. Is there an optic that this could come back down here and retest this little move up? It's possible because we created a little bit of a disbalance, or imbalance, not a lot. But definitely, you always want to, once you get that initial burst out, you always want to see the back test at about 50%. So if we moved up 3% for XRP, expect a 1.5% pushback down. In theory, it doesn't always have to happen, but see how quickly it came back down? We were up to $1.41.5, or $1.41.14. Now we're down to $1.40. We're retesting. Maybe it would come back down to $1.39.27 on the top of that liquidity box if needed. Bitcoin went up to 71K, but we said don't get too excited yet because this could be the fake out phase. We need to see. Went up to 71,000, almost 100. Now dropped $700. So this is where it's that very finicky and frisky part of the morning. So let's see if we get some kind of validation and confluency as XRP is now back testing just down below $1.40. This is where we want to see some confluency. XDC was an early runner this morning, trying to build that inverse head and shoulders. Put in a couple red candles here now in the hourly. Little bit of bearishness here because it's a downward angled. You got the body down a little bit lower than you really want, but this is just basically hold candles is the way that we look at it until it breaks down. But the one big problem that we've been having is no volume. There's not a huge bit of volume, so these would end up having to be volumeless push-ups, which makes it a little bit more tricky because in my opinion, it's always easier to find sell volume than buy volume, and that's just my own interpretation. Yours can be completely different. If we want to look at the CPI numbers, which I think are very important, first let's look at the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. We went up to 15. So it feels to me like retail's on the opposite side that they should be every single day. When it's in a price consolidation, retail is not buying. And when it's in a price rise, retail is buying. So they're kind of buying it at the exact wrong time, so they get caught in it every single day. Let's look at the CPI data. You know what? Instead of watching it like that, I'd rather just watch them talk about it so I don't have to. So let's look at Bloomberg real quick at the CPI data. So breaking down the latest inflation. Oh, wait a minute. We don't want 33 freaking minutes. We want a short breakdown. Let's see. Let's go to Bloomberg. I just think it's the easiest way to get that information. We just need to... We got to find the proper one, though, because it's important. It's important. Unless they don't have the short form, that's fine. We'll just go to the longer one. No big deal. No big deal.
You know, this stuff translate into 2.4% in a NSA, non-seasonally adjusted.
Nah, I don't want to listen to these losers. That's too long. Let's just do it the way I was going to do it. Fuck it. Because it's important we have to see this. So the market's U.S. inflation holds at 2.4% in February 26. Data predates March price shocks. So U.S. inflation rate holds at 2.4% in February 2026. Data predates March price shocks. So according to a report from Yahoo Finance, U.S. consumer prices increased by 2.4% in February compared to the same period 1 year earlier. This figure matched expectations of forecasters and indicates the annual inflation rate remained unchanged after a decrease from 2.7% in December. This will all be revised, so it doesn't matter. The 2.4% in January. Measured from January to February, prices rose by 0.3%, which represents an acceleration from the 0.2% recorded in the prior month. The Bureau of Labor Statistics noted that shelter, food, and energy costs contributed to monthly rise, while prices for used cars and trucks and motor vehicle insurance fell. The core inflation rate, which excludes food and energy prices, which is fucking ridiculous because that's a core part of core inflation, food and energy. We can't live without food or energy in today's society. Food in any society, but energy in today's. Was 2.5% higher in February than a year before, a level consistent with the January reading. Within the food category, prices of consumed at home increased by 0.4% for the month. This rise was driven by notable gains in fruits and vegetables, which jumped 1.4%. Non-alcoholic beverages, which increased 0.8%. Candy and chewing gums prices saw a sharp rise of 3.7%. Conversely, good thing I don't eat gum or candy. Conversely, some grocery items became less expensive, including cheese, which fell 1.2%, and the broader dairy index, which declined 0.6%. Cereal and bakery products prices also decreased slightly. Gasoline prices on a seasonally adjusted basis rose 0.8% in February after falling the previous month. Compared to a year ago, gasoline prices were down by 5.6%. Well, now when you look at them again, they're up slightly. But guys, listen, the Dow initially started to rise. Looks like it put in a head and shoulders, and now it's down 325 points here in the micro. And it's put in now almost down a 0.75% drop. The S&P 500 was putting on a gain. Now it's down almost 5 points here. NASDAQ was putting up almost a 100-point gain. It's down to 53. So let's see if this is a indictment of what's to come here after an initial price rise. So the reports data was collected before a military conflict involving the United States and Iran began in early March, meaning it does not account for subsequent surges in oil and gas prices. As of this morning of March 11th, the average price for regular unleaded gasoline was significantly higher than both 1 month and 1 year ago. So isn't it kind of shady that they never talk about the increase? They just act like everything's fine in the CPI until they redact it or redo it next month. Federal Reserve policymakers are expected to review this inflation data ahead of their scheduled meeting later in March. Their decision will also consider recent employment figures, which showed a net loss of jobs in February. And this is information you're going to want to see. So the ones who jump ship while we're talking about the information, and then you wonder why you just got punched in the face in the market when you try to invest. Well, surely come lately, or Johnny come lately, don't piss and moan when you get beaten over the head and your dick gets pulled off because you enter at the wrong spot because you don't give a rat's ass about the CPI data. Tells you everything you need to know. I told you don't buy into the hype when it first went up to 71K. I said it right here, sure as I sit in this seat that I'm talking to you in. So I talked about how it looked like a spinning top in the candle as well in the 4 hourly. I'm not making shit up. I know what I'm looking at. You will too if you just stick around. And now we need to make sure that that's exactly what didn't happen here, because that's a huge pull down here. So let's see if this can make up in the next couple of hours. If you have a problem understanding market anatomy, market psychology, who the actual players are from the level of central banks who are at the top, below them are institutions, below them are market makers, and at the very bottom is us, the ants, the plankton, which is retail traders. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I highly encourage you to join the classes. Class 12 is today, and it's going to be a fire and lit show once again. And we're in phase 3, which is market ecosystems. Who are the players? Retail, institutional, market makers, and central banks. Central banks at the top, all the way down to retail. And every category below, that category above controls. So central banks control institutions, market makers, and retail. Institutional traders control the market makers and retail traders. Market makers control retail traders. And retail traders only control how much exit liquidity they give up because they are uninformed. We are uninformed as a whole. Do you want to be part of the 97% of people that lose money? There's 81 people in here now. Do you want to be one of the 2 people in this audience that, as part of the statistic, actually makes money? Our community is a little bit different, but I'm just saying. Do you want to be part of the people losing money and giving it back to the exchanges? Or do you want to be part of the real profitable people? I do this in phases, so I highly encourage you to join. You don't have to be there in real time at 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday and Wednesday, as we're about to finish our 6th week of courses. You can be here anytime, any day. Each phase is their own phase, so it doesn't matter if you start today, yesterday, or next month, or 2 years from now when I'm doing this. Each phase is in their own grouping for a reason. We started with the DNA of money and the Great Transition, and you can just simply look at the images to see exactly how involved it is. Phase 2 is the purpose of investing, wealth preservation versus generation. In my opinion, one of the most important things we will go over in the entirety of all the classes. And then one of the extreme critical points is understanding who the players are. And that's phase 3 that we started on Monday, and it's just going to get more advanced. Today I put in a lot of work, 2 hours worth of data, and I put together many run-throughs, many diagrams, and different things like that. But right now we're trying to see if this displacement can be held. Right now we fell back into the liquidity box. It's going to be pretty interesting this morning. The hourly's in an inverted hammer as of right now, which means this could still be a bullish continuation. Hourly candles picking up. The 30-minute getting a little ugly right now. If it closes right here, that would be a complete washout here. But there's still 5 minutes and 50 seconds. So I highly encourage everybody to sit here and pay attention. You know, there is a lot of shuffling, but all I can say is I'm extremely honored to have you in here. I will do my best, as I do every single day since March 24th of 2021, to try to keep you in the proper alignment. I look forward to coming here every single day. I have a lot of passion doing this. Do I wish the YouTube algorithm would cut me a fucking break sometimes? Excuse my French, cut me a break. I sure do. It kind of feels shitty to only be, it feels kind of depressing a little bit to only be recommended at a 1.8% clip, which is kind of a kick in the nuts because of what I do. But I understand why they don't recommend my content. Why would people want to know the truth? They'll recommend someone who's going to lead you into the slaughter, but they're not going to recommend somebody who can keep you out of the blood. That's the bottom line. I can keep you away from the blood and the water and allow you to properly invest. So you can go through my history. I'm not going to talk about it, but you can go through and see what we've done. So, Bright Future Freedom, good morning, and thanks for being in town. Only 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Thanks for being like number 55. Jamie McKinney, good morning, and thanks for being in town. Only 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Watched my first class last night. It was 1.5 hours long. Felt like I was watched for 20 minutes. It flew so good. I was afraid that I was not going to be able to follow along. Not the case at all. Oh, Jamie, I'm glad you gave that positive review. I worked very hard to make sure that I am very, very detailed. I have a lot of stuff there, so you don't have to feel like you're never behind. And now you can attest to it, Jamie. Every single phase is its own phase. So whether you're watching the live or not, you're going to be so involved. I teach it through a Zoom. I teach a Zoom, so you're not looking at it through YouTube. So what you're accustomed to me doing, it looks nothing like. You only get to watch it through YouTube, so you don't have to pay the extraordinary fees. I worked on today's phases. Don't get too scared about it, but phase 3, the first advanced run through, we have 2 of them and a diagram for the advanced run through. And then we also have phase 3 part 4, which is the shadow side of things, the shadow players within. And then we have a second part to that and another diagram for the class. So just to give you an example of what things look like, I'll just show you the easier part of the walkthrough because I don't want to give anything away. But at least for this part of it, there's a lot of details in here. I worked very hard on this. It took me 2 hours to put together today's lessons plan. So I might be teaching for an hour and 15, hour and a half, but it took me over 2 hours to put together. So I'm very excited about it. Bad Guy, thank you for hyping every video you can, and thanks for being in town. Only 6+ months with the XP Predictor. I love it. Thank you so much. Vado Damas, thanks for tuning in while you could for before work, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad. Such an honor to have you in here, and you've been here for years. I really love it. What did Lowe say? I refuse to buy candy at the price now that's regarded. Yep, exactly, but I don't eat candy anyhow. I'm not a big fan of chocolate. Unless Julie's baking something and there's chocolate in it, I don't eat it. I've worked really hard on my, on what I consider, you know, what helps me build in a way. I have to work on my whole fortress, which is my body. So I've worked really hard on that over the past couple of years. Today I did a workout. I've worked out 10 days in a row now, which is not the best thing in the world. Today I did a 45-minute exercise. I didn't do everything because I'm a little sore today. I did some work outside. But, you know, I believe your body, your mind, your soul are all working together. And to be a good investor, we've got to keep ourselves in order. We've got to have good health. So I'll do my daily flex. It's definitely coming along, though. This summer, it's going to be, you know, again, I say it every day. I can't believe that. Is that my arm? Is that SpongeBob inflatable arms there? No, that's actually my arm, believe it or not. Bright Future Freedom said, I'm on class number 2 so far, and I'm telling you, even if you know nothing or are an expert, there is something to learn, and it's so easy to follow along. Been waiting for something like this for a long time. Oh, I'm so happy with that. I did it. It took me years to come up with this style. It took me years. And I thought about it a long time, because it's more than just, hey, I can teach you how to do the charts. We've got to build ourselves into the proper trader. So I consider the buying and selling the last part of what you should do as trading. Like right now, we build our database so that we know what we're looking at, but we've got to start from the ground up. So I really appreciate the encouragement. Carl, welcome in this morning, and thanks for being in Tons Iron for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Elmer J. Fudd, good morning. Thanks for being a very trusted mod in here, along with the Cannabis Podcast. Says there's no Rothschild central bank in Iran. Part of the reason. Ooh, that's a great comment. That's a great comment, honestly. Excellent. This audience actually very, very smart. It's another reason why I like everybody to be in here. It's not just me. This audience is very, very bright. There's a lot of bright people in here. So the 2 hourly right now, we really want to see this pull back up here. I mean, above like $1.40 and higher. We do not want this to turn into a spinning top this morning. This would just mean that we had a lot of buying pressure and the bears dragged it right back down. The good news is we still got time here. We still got time here to try to push this back up. So it's not a lost cause. We've got some very severe weather that's been happening here. I know you've seen in my short this morning how it was raining. Last night we had significant thunder and lightning storms here. So I was wondering if my power and everything would stay on or it would be good. Everything's good so far. We're expecting a lot of rain today, a lot of storms still. My son was super happy going to school, little T. For anybody who doesn't know, he's autistic. He's nonverbal, so it's always interesting. He's had some significant injuries that most kids don't deal with, as he broke his femur when he was 6 months old in a car accident and just had a lot of issues. But here we had that nice little back test. Let's see if we can start pushing back up here now. This is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see if we could hold the back test. So far, so good. So far, so good across the board. Yes, I mean, we're under $1.40, but this is what has to happen. We talked about if we come down, we're going to have to retest the areas. But it's going to be very, very volatile. We just want to make sure that this doesn't turn bearish. We've still got an hour and 58 minutes left of this 2 hour candle, which is pulling back very nicely already. Look at this. Look at this. Little extension out right now. Let's see if this can continue. I just want to make sure we're cautious here this morning because we just want to make sure things are playing out. And so far, so good. We just want to make sure it pulls over this last hump here. Just want to make sure. Because the volatility holds no bounds here this morning. I can tell you that for a fact. There's going to be a lot, and a lot of volatility. Right now, IOTA pushing perfectly up through this back test. This is beautiful. Now you want to see a new high made and then we're cooking. I mean, we'd be cooking. That doesn't mean we're going to cook. It just means we would be cooking. Same here. We want to see a new high made now over 877. We want to see a follow through with volume. We would like to see XRP make a new high here as well to push back $1.4130 approximately. We want to see that instead of breaking down, because if we come down again, it could be an issue. Is this just a short-term pop? No, this would just be a short-term pop. Until we get, my friend, until we get over, and great question, Canvas Podcast, until we get over that descending triangle, first we got to get past that bearish confirmation zone, which is at about $1.44-ish. But until we get over the descending triangle here, which is up at $1.56. Here, I'll pull this over in real time. It's just normal consolidation until first we get over $1.56 and ultimately try to push back up towards the CME FEG area, which is a breakaway gap right now. It's still just a short-term consolidation. I see a very defined inverse head and shoulders here, though. So, what do you want me to say? I see a big inverse head and shoulders here. And the fact we came back down and retested that 2 hour candle is actually a good sign. We want to see a follow through here, but that inverse head and shoulder is there. Like, we don't even have to joke about it. The right shoulder pulled down farther, which means the bears tried to take control, but the bulls started laughing about it and said, well, you might want to take control, but we're standing firm. Bright Future said, taking my mother-in-law to Barbara O'Neill in, what's that, North Carolina or NC. 9 different speakers, week-long, 16 to 20. Oh, excellent. Well, that should be interesting. Keep us updated with that. That's excellent. I love hearing that. That should be awesome. Have fun with the mother-in-law. It's always nice to hear different speakers. Try to gain some knowledge. Juan says, don't neglect the possibility that this event in the Middle East is real-time test for the new banking system. That's a good observation, Juan. Could see that. I could certainly see that. That's a good observation. Let's see. No central banks in Venezuela either, or Cuba and North Korea. Nice. See, good information this morning by the audience. Bitcoin right now at 70,395. It's definitely in its most volatile state right now. Because if we're going to break out, we have to invalidate this right shoulder. That's one of the things we have to do is invalidate this segment. And I mean, obviously, you have to put this up here. Drag this down a little bit. Because the right shoulder came up to there. But we need to invalidate that. We have a head, shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. You can even push this back to like a shoulder. But I like it. You know what? Yeah, because that's the inverse left shoulder. This is where it would have created a newfound shoulder, though. Just a second. I'm going to try to encapsulate this in a proper context. There we go. So let's see. Let's see how this actually plays out. So yeah, that's where we're at this morning. We're stuck in between. Like we can have a significant run out, as we know, with that wavy expansion. But it's going to take a lot of work to reverse this pattern and just go from a bearish downturn to a bullish overtake. A first layer is going to be that $1.4250 or $1.43. Second layer is going to be around $1.53, and then we have to break above $1.56, which is the descending triangle. Ultimately, we need to get up to that CME-FEG gap to start to feel any kind of comfort. But we've still got these short-term liquidity boxes in front of us. This will take us up to about $1.4450. But we have to break over that. Right now, we're above the 200-day here. Still on top of the descending wedge, which is a good sign. Breakaway gap up here, as we know, which is simply defined by this is either going to confirm with how it did once that we were still in a bear market, or if we come over there, we can come over the top and flip it and try to make a run at flipping into a more bullish setting. Or it'll come up there for a bearish rejection, but we need this to play out. We do have a beautiful inverse head and shoulder set up. On the back test here is the inverted head, shoulder, and that's on the back test of a descending wedge. So if we're going to break bullish, it's got to take this cycle and this setup to do it. Otherwise, it's going to be a catastrophe. The Dow can't make up its mind. It's just kind of sucking people in and out, in my opinion, spitting us out. Oil's down 3.16% on the day. Oil exploration stocks are up a little bit. Platinum is up just about, or pretty flat. Gold's down about 0.17%. Silver's down 3.37%. Continuing the trek down as that head and shoulders is validated as of right now. It was unable to come through the liquidity zone, which means there could be a much farther drop coming. We never tested $53 on the bottom side from the breakout, so I still look at that area as very much in play. A picture in the tally for info if anyone is interested, all about healing. Ooh. Call me intrigued. Call me intrigued. Who said that? Bright future freedom. So there's the speaking. Dan, thanks for sharing that. Or wait a minute, who shared this? Not Dan. Bright future freedom, Michael. Thanks for sharing this. So that's what he's talking about right there. If you guys are interested in seeing. So, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Michael. Bright Future Freedom. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that greatly. What are your guys' thoughts here? What's your thoughts here, everybody, about what's going on? Dennis, welcome in and thanks for being in town during second month with the Dust Autos Crypto News. Says, good to be back. Short days at work are beautiful, Tom. I'm still having trouble getting into the Instagram. You mean the Telegram? I don't have an Instagram. Ruby Rain, thanks for being in here this morning. Chris, good morning, and thanks for being in town for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. You're welcome, Mellowmania, and thanks for being in town on your second month with the Dusty House Crypto News. Much appreciated. So it's just like we talked about this morning when we started this live. We have to be very cautious in this movement this morning. It is not a speculator time. You want to see some kind of evidence. And I understand when we see the prices go up and down, it can be a little tricky because our FOMO takes over. But this is not the time to speculate. It's one of those things you have to make sure that we get the proper confirmation and validation. And right now it looks a little trap-esque, but there's still that inverse pattern that we're going to see if it absolutely plays out. Big step here would be if XRP could get up to $1.40 and hold, and Bitcoin could hold 70K. So that's a big area of concern right now in the immediate short term. If we look at the liquidity heat maps right now, we'll start with Bitcoin, and I want to look at it over the last month, approximately. See what kind of narrative we're building. Very flat with the over-the-top liquidity. We have a lot down here at 65 in comparison and 64. Yeah, so we've got around 64 to 65, or 66 even, some decent liquidity. So there's more to the downside from a monthly perspective on the 3-day. John, you can find a link for the class in the video description below and our pinned comments of this very comment section. However, it's not free for the classes. I put a lot of time into it, and there had to be a price on it. Especially because I don't want to have any paid sponsorships and stuff like that. So I decided I'm going to work and try to earn it through a lot of dedication. So that's $49.99 a month. But you don't have to watch it through the one good thing about it is you don't have to pay for you don't have to pay for Zoom, which is $123 a month. If I would have taught it just through Zoom where you guys had to watch it. So I decided to put it on YouTube, but teach it through Zoom because they want you to pay and then get the data and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a link right here. If you go to my YouTube channel, join, click that join button. Do the memberships, and like me, I'm already on live classes, but if you're not a member, so you have to do it at the live class section.
I want to thank you for tuning
and things like that. So you're welcome, John. I just wanted to not mislead you and misrepresent. But yeah, there's so much stuff in there. And today's the 12th class. You don't have to be there in real time if you don't want to, and you can join any day. You're not going to be behind. Each phase is one in their own. I could have released it in segments, but I wanted to do it in a live setting so that everybody who wanted to be there could be. And then for the ones who watch it after, you see the live comments. We answered in real time. So I think it makes it a much better learning experience. XRP, let's start with the monthly first. As you can see in the 3-day, there's a lot of liquidity below right now. There is a lot. Right now, you have liquidity over the top in the monthly, about 50 million or so, 80 million in some, starting at about $1.49 up to $1.53. But below, down at that $1.31, $1.30, $1.29, you can see some white patches there in the monthly. So more volume to the downside, it looks like. And then the 3-day, definitely more liquidity to the downside we've built up over the last 72 hours. So would we take out this area first and invalidate this? That is the question. It's a good question at that. And then 1-day, we've built liquidity on both sides. So if I'm looking at this in a proper perspective, it looks like we're building up more liquidity to the downside, which means more long traders are starting to take out trades here. We're having more long traders take out trades in the leverage side. So that could be exactly why it's speaking to the fact there's more liquidity to the downside. So pretty interesting. Up for 2 weeks or down for 3 days. Dates 18th, 31st, 2nd of April. We're going to find out about that today and tomorrow. Before Friday, we'll find out and we'll be able to answer that exact question. We'll be able to answer that exact question. Let's see Ethereum real quick. Because that gives a lot of direction when it comes to the alts. Ethereum, a lot more liquidity to the downside as well in the monthly. 2 weekly. Way more liquidity. Oh, boy. In the 2 weekly, there's a lot of long traders, which means we could come back down towards that 1900 level to take them out before a further move up. That is very interesting. That is a shitload of liquidity there. Wow. Holy smokes. I didn't realize it built up that much in the last 2 weeks. A lot of long traders out here. We came up and tapped this box here for a reason. At 2100 almost, there's about 556 million in liquidity. So yeah, there's a lot of indecision here. A reason for it to come up for sure. But, you know, I also see some reasons for it to come down in the short term. Maybe we come down and take out the long traders before we make that move up. It's very difficult to say at this point. The crypto fear and greed index is at 15. It resets in about 10 hours. I think I reset this. So more people were buying after the movement up, which is interesting. John Hatcher, welcome into Tom's Army. Just make sure you upgrade it to the live classes section. If you want to be in the live classes, hit the upgrade button. It prorates that first $9.99 that was from that category. So you're not paying another $49.99. But welcome into Tom's Army. I just wanted to make sure you are aware that it needs to be upgraded to the live classes if you want to watch live classes. I appreciate you being in Tom's Army now. Welcome in, my brother. Just made me the happiest person in the world joining into the Army. That's awesome. Great way of paying it forward. Jay Freemix, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army second month with Dusty Outhouse Crypto News. I'm glad and proud to see you in here as always. Let's see. Are the liquidity zones the price where buyers get in the market, or where their buys would get liquidated? Excellent question. That is the liquidation zone. So on that heat map, it would be over the top is where the short traders would be liquidated, and anything underneath would be where the long traders get liquidated at those price levels. That's the cumulative amount of money that get liquidated at those levels. Excellent question, Carl. Can't even stress it enough because you just asked a question that most people were probably wondering. That's an excellent question. That's why I need you members in here. My core members, I love when you ask the questions. Just like I love the questions in classes, because then anybody who watches it after gets to see it almost as if they're in real time. So, I don't even know why, but I feel like I'm having a great hair day. I mean, I know you can't see most of it because it's ponytailed, but damn. I like how my hairline looks today, I must say. I've always had this little widow's peak, I suppose you could call it. I'm not sure. I like when my hair looks like this morning. Yep. Shows off my big forehead. Well, like I said, big forehead. You gotta have a lot of space to have a big brain, right? But that's neither here nor there. Small joke this morning. How long have we been on? 48 minutes already. Man, these lives just fly by. I tell you what. And no problem, Carl. Thank you for asking that question. It's a great question. XRP with the Bitcoin pairing continues to be a little bearish. If this breaks down, we would just go retest this area, which is around the 1874 level. But that would have to invalidate this inverse head and shoulders. We have a short-term possible one, but this is starting to look a little shaky if it comes down any further. Once we come down below 1953, it invalidates that setup. And then if it does invalidate, you've got an area down here that needs to be filled. That's a 4% drop. I can show you a nice imbalance zone, but it would take breaking down to actually fill this. Let's put the rectangle out there, my new favorite friend. And you've got a little bit of displacement here that you could look at because we never came back down and filled this area. You've definitely got a nice little zone here worth of displacement. I call it the liquidity zones, where you need to stay on top of, but you could very well reintroduce ourselves into there. So, thank you for the 79 likes with 84 people watching. That's an extremely high number of likes. I appreciate that. I really do. It means a lot to me to see all the support. So I've been doing that a lot more, looking at the liquidity boxes. Right now, we still need to get over this bearish sweep. So far in this 2-hourly, I think it's consolidated okay. We're looking to get another bit of volume in here. But we also want to make sure that this was not some kind of reversal here. We had an extreme wick pull down. It's angled to the downside after the body. So that's an extreme pull down here. So we've got to watch this candle very, very closely. That could have just been a shake and bake. Quantum going up, crypto will go up also. They both have been buddies for a while now. Not a bad assertion there, Low. Not a bad assertion of what you're seeing. Because right now it's speaking more to the fact that we should have a better than not chance to go up. It's just we want to see the validation here. Good morning, Zalman. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. So appreciative to have you in here. Especially in your first month. I love it. I love it. Let's see. What would Ethereum's route be? It has that little bit of volatility at 2100. But if we break out of here, we'd find ourselves possibly, look at inverse head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. So we're seeing a lot of these inverse patterns. So it's just, we are seeing a lot of inverse setups. A lot of them, actually. Total crypto market cap, another nice inverse head and shoulders looking to break out, back tested nicely. So even though we have a lot of instability, I am seeing a lot of opportunity here still this morning. Whether or not the opportunity plays out properly, that's a question we just have to wait and see. Inverse head and shoulders across the board, though. So until those invalidate, you would expect it, you know, to likely go up here. But I'm not counting anything before I see it happen, because obviously this market's very finicky. And that last 4-hour candle leaves a lot to be desired. It looks like it could be an inverted hammer in the 45. Couple in a row. So, after a reversal candle as well. So now we need to see if we get some follow through. If we get some follow through, we should have some nice price appreciation going into some of those zones. Now it's not going to be it's not a whole pattern reversal. But it can be something here. Can be something. These are the hardest parts of the morning because we're at that 10:30 a.m. This is when generally you have price manipulation if they're going to sell it to the downside. But we had to, remember, we're an hour farther ahead than we used to be. So we could have witnessed that already when it went down to about $1.38 and some change just a moment ago from $1.4120. So that could have been a reversal and back test. Now we need to see a follow through here. We haven't seen any real follow through yet, but it takes a second to get the follow through. This is looking pretty good right now. 4-hourly push back up over the 200. We're back getting towards this top enchilada here. We just want to make sure that this continues. Let's see what the 2-hourly's doing. 2-hour volume still coming in. We just need to make sure that this doesn't turn into a reversal candle. That is it. That's all we need to do. We just need to make sure these don't turn into reversals and we can start cooking here today. The Dow's down almost 200 points. S&P's pretty flat, up 7. NASDAQ's now up 115. So does that mean that the Dow's getting ready to start to move? Because that's quite the inverted setup there, comparison between the two. It's going to be a very, very exciting and volatile day today. There is no doubt about that. Firm bought 17,994 Bitcoin, yada, yada, yada. Don't think, But the market makers, their job is to buy it when the price is depreciating to keep it from falling off a cliff. And that's part of what we're talking about in the classes in part 3 and phase 3 right now. So, XRP accumulating signal, Binance withdrawals jump, ETF demand grows. So XRP price chart mirrors 1,500% rally setup from 2017, but there's a catch. So XRP's weekly price chart is starting to resemble a technical pattern that previously marked a major cycle low and preceded a sharp upside reversal. XRP's weekly chart fractal resembles the 2017 cycle lows before a 1,577% surge. An XRP breakout, a price breakout, requires a sustained move above the $2 resistance zone. Declining exchange balances indicate XRP accumulation. XRP fractal hints at a massive price rally ahead. A long-term fractal comparison between the 2017 and 18 and 2024 to 2026 cycles suggests XRP's sharp sell-off from 366 multi-year highs mirrors the pattern that formed at price bottom before a sharp reversal. On the weekly chart, XRP's dropped to $1.10, resembled a retest of the lower trend line of a symmetrical triangle from 2017 when the price dropped to the 12 cents, marking the local bottom. I don't care what the analyst says because the analysts are usually full of shit. And they only say what they say, so you'll view. So in 2017, XRP consolidated inside the triangle as leverage, reset eventually, breaking above the triangle's upper trend line and railing 1,577%. Applying that same metric will be required to push the price above the $1.78 to 230 resistance to confirm the sustained upward breakout, and that's exactly the levels we've been talking about for, I believe, forever to try to get a reversal. Applying the framework, let's see. Note that this is where the upper trend line of triangle at $2, the 100-week simple moving average SMA, and the 50-day simple moving average converge. XRP's UTXO realized price distribution, URPD data shows large supply clusters that remain above the spot price. The $2 level accounts for 3.6% of the XRP supply, and $1.80 comprises 3.15%, forming heavy overhead resistance. As Cointelegraph reported, buyers will have to break and sustain the XRP price above the downtrend line of the descending channel pattern at $2 on the daily chart to signal a long-term trend change. XRP's multi-exchanges daily depositing withdrawing transaction delta, a metric that tracks the net number of XRP transfers or transfer transactions across 15 major crypto exchanges, has dropped to record lows according to data from CryptoQuant. When the metric declines, it suggests that more investors are withdrawing XRP into external wallets. CryptoQuant analysts, and blah, blah, blah. This behavior often reflects accumulation in long-term confidence. Yes and no. This was echoed by fellow... I don't care about these losers. Anyhow, but that's all I need to... I don't care what other analysts say because they're all... Most of them just say what they need to say to get you to invest and, you know, pay them for bullshit. So I don't like to read the nonsense. That's just part of FOMO and FUD. XRP ledger activity hit 2.7 million volume. The XRP ledger just processed 2.7 million transactions in a single day. Despite these numbers, XRP bag didn't really move. That's because that has nothing to do with price movement for XRP, and I wish they would stop acting like it does. Let's see. Oh, the Goldman Sachs stuff was pretty nice. They're the top XRP ETF holders amongst the top, which was nice to see that. I might talk about that in the later live if I can get back on. But this live's coming to a very abrupt and quick end because I got to do some more work for my class, and I don't want my voice to go away. I did so much work yesterday. My voice is a little tired today. Actually, I don't even know if all the work was warranted because the view counts, because it gets all caught up together. I don't think it was worth it. I mean, it might have helped some, but to put a video out that only got 400 fucking views that's not even worth it, to be honest with you. There's no point in me wasting my time. The lives, I mean, they got hit hard. I told you I'm not being recommended. The shorts, I put out a couple of them. They did okay yesterday. But, you know, my stuff gets hindered so badly. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But I got to find a way not to waste my time as much as yours, because I'm not going to put out videos if they can only get 400 views. It's not worth it. It hurts my algorithm. My algorithm's already getting kicked in the nuts. I'm already being punched in the face by the algorithm. I don't need to do it to myself. I can assure you that. So I've either got to find out better time to do the video or not do it at all, that kind of a video, because it kills me. 400 views. I was getting 400 views when I had fucking 5,000 subscribers. I got almost 50, and to get 400 views on a video is quite a indictment on no viability here. So, you know, got to find a way to fix that. I don't know if there is any way to fix it, though, because of the way I do things. YouTube doesn't want to recommend my stuff. So, I'm in an interesting spot here as an influencer, because I'm not taking the easy way out, but it's definitely, I don't know. It's definitely hindering my ability, because I won't work with some of the, let's just call them the manipulators in the space. Even though I get approached by them every single day, and it's getting annoying. And then I've noticed, too, people are subscribing to my channel just to spam my channel, which is kind of I've already got the concrete proof I need now. By the way, I was testing it with subscribers only comments. So it's actually somebody subscribed to my channel who's making spliced accounts, or a number of people that do that. They subscribe and make spliced accounts to put in bullshit comments, which would get very annoying. So, you know, there's that part of it too on YouTube. So I do. That's why I always say I appreciate the core members who find their way in here, and we can have an active discussion despite my content not getting out. So thank you guys, much appreciated. And to put it in perspective, that video that got 410 views had 370 views in like the first hour and a half, and then it just went dead. It went dead. It didn't even show up in my own when I looked for it on Julie's until this morning. So they're definitely hiding my content, which is kind of annoying. But nonetheless, I'll be here every single day. I'll see everybody who's in the class. If you want to be a part of that, be a part of it. And other than that, let's continue to watch the market. And when I come back, we'll see if I can get back tonight. I don't know. It all depends. How my son is, and then how my voice is as well. But yeah, I think this was a great live. I like the way the comments were. I like the way the